What's going on, guys? Welcome back to NolanTCG, and we are back here today for another month of OCG recap. So this month there are some pretty weird lists, including the one that's on your screen right now. This man took home a PS5 for playing this incredibly strange burn deck that seems to somehow work, yet somehow work, I guess. But before we do get into the profiles for this month, as always, please remember to drop down below and hit the subscribe button if you are new here, because we're always happy to have new people to the channel. And let's get on into these profiles. Okay, so starting us off, we of course have the Windwitch burn deck that took down an OCG event. Man walked home with a PS5 on top of his normal price support, so congratulations to him. He certainly created something incredibly unique, and I definitely want to find a way to like normalize this to the TCG, because as we get to the side deck, you'll see this deck definitely ain't legal here. But in the main deck, we of course have 3 copies of Ice Bell, 1 copy of Freeze, so the only new Windwitch card is the Freeze coming in. Then we have 1 Snow and 2 Glass. 3 copies of Lava Golem, because you don't really need a normal summon at all, you just like drop this on the other side of the field. Then we've got 3 copies of Scarecrow and 3 Battle Fader. Of course, these cards were so bad that they've somehow made their way full back into the format. Also, they punish your opponent for not having good zone placement, because the Relinquished Anima is a thing. Then we've got 1 copy of Ray, just gets you into like easy damage with the Hayate. You can recur the Hornet Drones, gets you into a Zeke, kind of generally just does stuff. Then we've got 2 copies of Sadian the Time Lord, just the inflict 2,000 life points, and 1 Prankatops for the monsters. For the spells, we've got 3 Desires, because you don't really care what you banish in this deck, you just want to have as many resources as possible. 1 Mystic Mine, 1 Day of Peace, and 1 Hornet Drones. For the traps, we've got, of course, 3 Secret Blast, the 1 cheeky Gravedigger's Trap Hole to inflict that 2,000 damage, 2 copies of Magic Cylinder, because Magic Cylinder for game. This card doesn't really work in the TCG because this can't stop Dragoon, because it targets. Sadly, that's going to still hit you in the face. Then we've got 2 copies of Waking the Dragon, of course, with a lot of Waking the Dragon targets in the extra deck. 1 Ring of Destruction. 1 Evenly Matched, just the 1 Evenly Matched, you know, just if the game's getting out of your hands, you just like slap down an Evenly Matched, just hit reset on the game state, start again. Then we've got 3 Ceasefires for some more cheeky damage, and then 1 copy of Booby Game to round out the main deck. Of course, this is just essentially a Wabaku, just stops you from taking damage battle damage, but then if it does get taken out like the Waking the Dragon, you can just reset the traps you've already been using, so you can get back, say, like a Cylinder or the Gravediggers, just to make your opponent's life that much harder. Then for the extra deck, we've got 1 Kagari and 2 Hayate, 1 Zeke, that's your Sky Tracker line. Then we've got the 1 Relinquished Anima, so that you can use the Battle Fader, go into that, punish your opponent. For the Synchros on the Windwitch line, well, we've got some more over here. For some reason, this didn't sort when I sorted the rest of it, but we've got 1 Winter Bell, 1 Diamond Bell, and the 1 Wind Pegasus, because this does lock you into Wind. We do have some other cute options later. We've got the 1 Boral End Dragon, the 1 Last Warrior from Another Planet, and the 1 Ultimate Falcon. These are typically the Waking the Dragon targets for the deck, so you're going to just plop out one of these guys onto the board, depending on what you think your opponent can't play through. Then we have, for the rest of the Synchros, 1 Chambara for big damage, 1 Crystal Wing, because it can be made indestructible in this deck, 1 copy of the Battle Wasp Armor, the Conquering Bow. This card can just attack twice. It's good. Then we have, of course, 1 copy of the OCG exclusive Star Mine, rounding out the extra deck. This card is interesting. So, it's basically does damage if it's taken out, or if what's next to it gets taken out. It just, you take 2,000, then your opponent takes 2,000, so it doesn't force a draw, unlike the side deck in this deck. But yeah, it's just cheeky damage to just like bring both you and your opponent down quite a lot. Then getting into the side deck though, a very illegal side deck in the TCG. We have, of course, 3 Maxi, 3 Chicken Game, 3 Upstart, 3 Self-Destruct Button, and 3 Wall of Revealing Light. As we switch over to TCG, you'll see 2 cards in this extra deck, or in this side deck, are legal. And the main deck is actually pretty fine. It's just the Booby Game can't be played in the TCG. And then in this extra, you've got like the Star Mine, of course, and you got the Boral. Boral doesn't really matter. The Star Mine's probably cute in some situations. I guess, how are you making this, actually? Because it's a 4. Like, this is... so you got the 1 and then the 3? So you just, like, normally just go Ice Bell, Snow Bell, because it's Glass Bell that locks you into Winds. So you just bypass that, Ice Bell, Snow Bell, into Star Mine. Hopefully Star Mine can do some damage. But let's get to the next profile. Okay, next up we have some OCG heroes. So this list, I can't remember. It definitely topped the event. I just can't remember what place it was. I think it was a 3rd place list from the event that it topped at. Ultimately, I thought it was quite interesting because it doesn't play Malicious Bane or Adjusted Gold. This list is not too far off what you would be able to play in the TCG, simply because it doesn't have, like, you have one copy of your hero lives. That's probably the one thing you need to cut. That, like, you got Crossout, Called By, of course, Max C as always, but it doesn't seem like it's too bad of a list to convert over, and it's somewhat budget because you're not playing the Malicious Banes. Your Faris and your increased lines are pretty slim, so it seemed like a pretty decent list. But starting us off, we of course have 2 copies of Artifact Lancia with the 2 Ash Blossom. Then we have 1 copy of Celestial, 1 Dynatag, and the Maliciouses for your Destiny Hero line. For the Elemental Heroes, we've got an Honest Neos, a Liquid Man, Liquid Soldier, sorry. Then we've got 2 Shadow Mist and the 2 Stratos. Just the 2 Stratos. It is something you can consider bumping up if maybe you're cutting that hero lives. Then we have the 2 Max C, 1 Faris, 1 Increase, and 2 Vion. For the spells, we've got the 2 Hero Lives, 2 Called By the Grave, and 1 Crossout. Again, you just need to cut down on a Called By and a Crossout if you're like moving this over to the TCG. Then we've got 1 Foolish, 3 Droplets, 2 Fusion Destiny, and 3 Mask Change. 1 Miracle Fusion, of course. This just goes with like your Dynatag and your Sunrise and stuff in the extra. 1 Poly, 1 Super Poly, 1 Talents, and 2 Imperm round out the main deck. Weird that there's just like the 1 Talents just floating around in here. Like, this deck has a lot of, like, small little things you could cut if you wanted to change. Like, the Talents at 1, not super necessary. If you wanted to go budget, the Droplets can probably be cut, but ultimately you're just playing, like, what, 10 cards of Disruption, 12. Like, if you count these, that's 15 cards of Disruption. So the way he's built it, it is very, like, spacious. You have a lot of room to, like, change things up and really make it your own. For the extra, though, you have 1 copy of Dangerous, 1 Dystopia, 1 Absolute Zero, 1 Escrudiado. I couldn't really figure out as to why he was playing this. I guess it's just an Elemental hero and a Dark is probably the main reason he's doing it. Then we've got the 1 Sunrise, 1 The Shining, 1 Acid, 1 Blast, and 2 Darklaw. A rather cute interaction if you open like Stratos plus the Mask Change. You can get through your opponent's barrier statue with the 1 protection that it has. So you can normal summon the Stratos, smack into it. They use the protection, you just drop the Mask Change, turn it into Blast, smack into it again. Then for the rest of the extra deck, we've got those links. So we have 1 Verte, because you have a lot of fusion options that you can send. Dragoon's not legal, of course, but you do have other options that you can make. 2 Cross Crusader, 1 Dread Decimator, and 1 Wonder Diviner, round out that extra. Into the side, we have, of course, the other Lancia, 2 copies of Droll, and 2 Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit. 3 copies of Nibiru next up, along with our spells, which is just 1 Duster and 2 Storm with the 2 MST for 5 back row removals. 1 back row flip down in a red reboot, and then 1 Vanity's Emptiness rounds out the side. Okay, last off we have the deck that's actually getting pretty close to being legal in the TCG here, as I switch it from TCG to OCG to get rid of those Maxi bans. But yeah, this deck's coming out soon. We have Scrap Raptor in the next set. God knows it's going to be a secret rare. There's no way they print this as like a low rarity. Please cut that and then like prove me and say that I was wrong when that happens. But hopefully, like, fingers crossed this is a super rare, but this is definitely like going to be the money card in the set if they print it as a secret. But starting us off the deck for this, starting us off the list for this, we have 1 copy of Oviraptor, because it's at 1, so there's an option that you can switch up for the TCGs. You cut your crossout designators. The OV can, of course, go to 3. 3 Miss, because no one reads it. We've got 1 UCT, 1 Nibiru, 1 Quatless, 1 Prank, 1 Giant Rex for our Dino lineup. We've got some more Dinos hidden down here in the babies, but that's it for our big boys. For the Scrap Engine, we've got 1 Chimera and 3 Scrap Raptor. For the hand traps, we've got 3 copies of Ash Blossom, 3 Gamma, 1 Driver with the 2 Cheeky Maxis hidden out in here. 3 Baby Cerosaurus with 3 Petit Pterodon, and 2 Adamodon Archosaur are your baby lineup. For the spells, we've got 1 copy of Duster, 2 Double Evo Pill, 3 Fossil Dig, because this card just gets you anything, Dino. Then we've got 2 copies of Pot of Prosperity, because you don't really care about your extra deck, so you're just going to like flip 6, have a look, go away, keep going, win, time. 1 Cosmic Cyclone though after that, with 2 Called by the Grave, 2 Crossout Designator, and the 1 Lost World rounds out the main deck. For the extra, we have the 1 copy of Omega, because Tuner, not fair. Well, I've accidentally just got rid of the Dolka, but there was 1 Dolka and 1 Lagia with the Abyss Dweller and the Dagaris. We have 1 copy of Underworld Goddess for our first of our links, with the Boral Sword, the Access Code. Phoenix and Unicorn as well. These are all things you can make off the IP Mask Arena. 1 Scrap Wyvern, of course. Scraps, you kind of need it to make a little bit of your combo go. 1 Union Carrier, because you want to be a terrible human being. Then we've got, of course, the IP to go into all of our big links, bar, like your access code, your Royal Sword, of course, so you can Phoenix, Unicorn, and make the Underworld Goddess on the opponent's turn. Then we have the 1 copy of Link Rebo and the 1 Anima to handle our level 1. Then we've got, for the side deck, the other 2 copies of Nibiru, 1 copy of Gamma Seal and 2 Lancia, 1 copy of Dragon Buster, because this is still legal over there, and they must be having a very fun time. Actually, you don't really see it getting played. They just make barriers at you instead and laugh at you. Then we've got 3 copies of Droll, 2 copies of Dark Ruler No More, and 2 Lightning Storm for our spell and trap card removal / monster blanking. Then we have Evenly Matched for clearing up those messy boards. But that wraps us up here for this month's OCG recap. If you do have any decks, of course, that you want to see next month, comment them down below and I'll try and chase them down. Hopefully it's not too difficult. These were actually not super difficult to find. There was a lot of like good rogue popping up in the OCG. With the change of format now, they are very much in a heavy, not a virtual world format anymore. Drytron's also gone, so they've moved into playing like Tri Brigade. So getting lots of floodgates out there with the Tri Brigades and the Wind Barrier statues and having some very fun times. They, of course, have the extra support as well. Definitely look at picking up Tri Brigade if you haven't already and you're looking for like a meta deck in the TCG, because it has overtaken the OCG. But as always, I've been Ben from NolanTCG, and have a good afternoon, everybody.